And crime and violence must stop.
Bless upon yourself, people. Bless upon yourself, welcome back again to Nicardo Media House. It's Sunday, happy Sunday to everybody. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day. Who is at worship, who is in the kitchen, looking after them red rice, who is on the river, who is at the at the beach, you understand, who is commuting anywhere to do their errands. But wherever you are, watching this video, again, you have a few, truck drivers out there that, listen to the videos as well. They don't know, big up on yourself, but it's the REGGAEBOYZ and St. Vincent game, just getting some time to reflect, to reflect on the game, and in my opinion. But it's a bad result, and I must say, look, St. Vincent is a country where it's a very, very small country. Just, you would say probably just not just over, but a centimeter over 100,000 of the population. It's just when a country like this, get an international airport just around 6-7 years ago, you understand, or probably 8. Not a decade as it, but close to a decade, them just get an international airport. So big up to St. Vincent, big up to the Vincent people, them, same type of people, them, Caribbean people. But talking about the spectrum of the football, the game, what aspect of the game, of what happened around it, it's a bad result. More and so when I did my preview, I wasn't really reflecting on the result yet, because 95%, the REGGAEBOYZ were the favorite to get something out of this game. You have to get the 3 points. We were the massive, it's like David versus Goliath. We were the giant in this game, and I wasn't really looking at result. As I said, I was looking at more of what I said in my preview, more of the personals on the pitch, the character, the leadership. We need performances, from every player. We need to dominate our area. We need to win our 1v1 battles. We need to win the aerial duels. We need to win the second ball. And, things like this, we are not improving as a team. When you watch the team from the first game, I think we played Cuba in the National Stadium. We go on to play, I think, Honduras. And then we go on to play Nicaragua, play Honduras again. When you look at those games, we lose in the setup, the aerial duel, we lose in the second ball. We're losing the fight even on our own home turf. We struggle to score goals. And, I'm looking at those things and I'm like, these are the things that we need to sharpen up on. And, look at the St. Vincent game. It's nothing close to that. We were dominant in terms of creating a lot of opportunities. Yes, we create moments, I'm going to get there, but we weren't so sharp, in the final third. We were a little bit too lackluster. Well, what I must say, we never aggressive. We never aggressive as a team in the final third of St. Vincent defensive third. Not much of precise pass we made in that final third, where you will say yes, we break down the team. And at the time, you will say part of this game, it was a Langcho FC team. It was a Langcho FC team versus Langball FC from the back into the final third, into our big striker, Shaman Nichols. So that's how I see the team playing. When I look at how the structure and the team, a lot of times the players are confused, even on that left hand side. A lot of time when Pinot got that ball on the left hand side, Amaribel, he don't even know what was his first option. He didn't even know what was his first option. Look at simple details, things like that. And things like that has to come down to the coaching. You understand? But the game, the game of itself, let me just get into it. I wrote down, personality, the character of the players, the work ethic, believe in each other, the chemistry, intensity, the pace. None of that never ticked off, to be honest. None of that never ticked off in the game. And you have to really look at ourselves like, it's all about getting the performance. It's not about working as a group, playing with intensity. The more you play aggressive, the more you play intensity, especially away. These teams like St. Vincent, we are Jamaica. Yes, we are Jamaica, the REGGAEBOYZ. They don't look at us like how they look at El Salvador. They look at us as if it's a rival game. They want to come out and play very well against the Reggae Boys. They want to prove a point. And I said it that this team will come out and play the football. It's either they could sit low block and try to hit us in the transition, but they will come out and play some type of football. They're going to be motivated, highly motivated to play us, because we are the Reggae Boys. We are that team in the Caribbean that every time when we come up against a Caribbean team, it's always something like this, and they're motivated to play us. And when I look at it, you know, we create some chance, you know, the Pinnock long throw. I think that came from the Sule Makala. You know, I don't know how on earth did Sule Makala miss that. You know, the Lemari Gray shot in the second half, you know, where he cut in off the left and come right in the middle in the D. He got a shot and it rebound, you know, the Isaac Eden. What else? The Shaman Nicholson opportunity. I think it's in the early 15 minutes of the game where I don't know what Boyz is doing. You know, we missed so many opportunities in the game, and you wouldn't say it created from breaking down St. Vincent. It's all about ricochet ball come back out to us. It's all about the long throw. I think Leon Bailey was the only pass I think that really I can remember break down the St. Vincent team. You understand? Look, I would say, look, in that game, Leon Bailey didn't have the, you know, the best of best performance. You know, he wasn't the Leon Bailey I was looking for, but I probably would say Leon Bailey was the best player on the pitch, especially in that first half. Look, you could see the intent of what Leon Bailey wanted to do. You know, he wanted to take on the defenders. You know, a lot of time it might fail, but the intensity of how he wanted to progress the football, it was there. You know, and he was poor, but he was like our best player on the pitch, especially in that first half. You know, his performance dropped off in the second half, but I must, you know, go ahead and look at, you know, the starting lineup. You know, how the hell, I don't want to blame Sule Makala. You know, I don't want to, you know, criticize, you know, why he's in the team. Because if I get a call from the JFF that, you know, look, you're going to represent the national team, you know, everybody's going to come and accept that call up and fight for the national team. So, you know, Sule Makala is there because someone calling up. You know, who the hell will call up a Sule Makala, but not just call up a Sule Makala, but start Sule Makala in a game? He was just tracking around. He was just hobbling around. It's the same performance that he gave us in the Trinidad game, especially in that second leg at the Anthony Swallen Sports Complex. Yeah, it is the same game. He was tracking. He wasn't enough sprinting. You know, wasn't enough vibrant energy in that midfield. You know, Isaac Eden is not the player that's going to give us that running around, that vibrant energy in the midfield. And that midfield was crying out for somebody, a player like Demara Phillips. Not saying Demara Phillips should have stopped, but a type of player like that, you know, is crying out. The team was crying out for that energy, just a little bit of energy in that midfield. And you would say maybe if Demara Phillips was playing in that midfield, maybe he would have given us a little bit more. And that goal came from a Sule Makala mistake in the midfield. You know, players make those mistakes. You know, don't want to fault him much on it, but you know, it's a mistake that at the highest level, you know, you're not supposed to be conceding goal like that. You know, I hear a lot of people beating Richard King and talking about, you know, his mistake. Look, Richard King is one for the future. You know, he's getting into that groove. You know, he got his start that he really needed, deserve it. And I think he was okay, but I think that the St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the coach, target us that down, that left and their left hand side, which is Richard King, right hand side with Dexter Lemekisa. Majority of all the attacks came down Richard King's side and Dexter Lemekisa. I don't know what they saw, but maybe, you know, over the years, teams like Mexico, teams like USA, even when Alvas Paul was there, even when Javier Bryan was there, they target us down that right hand side. And another team have done it against Coach McLaren. This is something that have been happening with, you know, different coaches, you know, at the helm of the Reggae Boys. They target us down that right hand side. There's something on that right hand side where maybe it's just weak. Maybe Richard King position awareness and how he was positioned when the ball was coming at him, it wasn't good. You know, that mistake that he made, I think, you know, tried to twist and turn. Look, the best of the best defenders make mistakes like that, but you know, it's up to how he's going to come back and learn from those mistakes. So this is why you need young players to be playing more, because the more they played, these mistakes will happen. But guess what? very good player like Richard King, I know for sure he will never make these mistakes 2, 3, 4 times down, on the stretch. Hopefully he can recover from that and make amends of his mistake and watch back video clips and learn on how to defend teams in the transition. But I want to talk about Steve McLaren. I said it, the starting lineup, I don't know, how he got Sule Makala in that starting lineup. I think this is the third game in a row that, we trying to find a combination, in that midfield. This is the third midfield partnership. I think Isaac Aiden played in the second leg of the US game. This one is Sule Makala and Isaac Aiden. Who started? I don't remember who started. I think it was Joel Atibody here, and somebody starting that first against the USA. The only time this fella have started a back-to-back, I think it was the first 2 games. I think it was the first 2 games, the Cuba game and the Honduras game. We have started back-to-back midfielders in the central department for the first time. Even the back line is more chop and change. The more consistent are the 2 most played defenders. You have used is Nanalo and Isaac, and not Isaac. Ethan Pinnock, but when you look at it, man, the last 3 games, the midfield is a big issue for us. How can we go about thinking that Sule Makala will be the hero for us? Is it that we're just looking at the St. Vincent game as if, it's just St. Vincent? We have limited amount of windows leave before we get to that World Cup qualifier stage, the last round that's coming September. So we need to be playing our best players at all time, and it comes back around to selection, with Coach McLaren. What is his philosophy? His philosophy in that game was long ball, and the only thing I see the Reggae Boys trying to do in that game is the long ball and then the long throws from Ethan Pinnock. I think he got around 3 to 4 long throws in, so there's a lot of questions for Steve McLaren, and he need to answer these questions because we having these problems, before he appointed as the national team coach, so I don't want to look. There's a lot of things that Steve McLaren is doing wrong. The team is playing as if the team is playing the same way how Steve McLaren done his interview. Lack of details. The team is not looking at. This team is coachable. I don't know. Should I use coachable? But this team is not the team you look at and said, this team is under heavy coaching regime. Look at the first game that Jesse March, the first competitive game that, in the Copa America. Look at that game, the first game. Look at the first game that Jesse March, and his Canadian team played in that first competitive game in the Copa America, before they played Netherlands and before they played France, before they played the Copa America. I think the Argentina game, look at how his team played. You could see what Jesse March trying to do, and he only got 2 games to do that. 2 games, and it was a friendly against France and I think the Netherlands. And that was the only practice sessions that he got, and he walked into that Copa America and went all the way out of his own group with big South American teams, and you could see what the Canadian team to do. So I'm saying, what is Steve McLaren trying to do with this national team? And it's just hard. It's hard to figure out, like, what does he want to achieve with this team? Playing style, the chemistry. The team is not playing with any belief. The team, look, the players has to take, all of these players have to take responsibility for their action on the pitch. Even if you're playing a manager that is clueless, then have no tactics, have no ideas, but the effort, the minimum is the effort. Wearing that badge is the effort. You have to put in the fundamental stuff of fighting for the national team, putting in that effort, running, playing with intensity. You have to work hard. And these are the things that when a coach is not setting up the team the correct way, the players has to respond and play hard. There wasn't any leaders on that football pitch. No leadership. Who in that team is the leader? When I look at Thomas Tuchel team and how he talk about Jordan Anderson, so much in that team. He want to bring in, he want to have that leadership. Who in this Reggae Boys team going to hold these players accountable in that dressing room and let them know? None, because none of these players are performing at the highest level. And even when you look at the mistakes that Richard King is, made in that game, I have never seen Ethan Pinnock went over to him and tried to calm him down, try to talk to him. Nothing. Isaac Hayden is a quiet player. He's a quiet fella. He's not that player going to be vocal on the pitch. Who is that player going to oppose their player, put their chest high and can speak to the other teammates on that pitch, and they respect him and respect his decision? Because look, if Leon Bailey go over there and talk to anybody, they will respect him. But Leon Bailey is not playing any football. He's not playing any football. It's just one of them things, it's just one of them things, with Leon Bailey. But Boyz, I don't know, man. Boyz have scored some very important goals for us. Especially the two-legged game versus Canada, in Kingston and in Toronto at BMO Field. He have scored some historic goal. He have scored on the USA, beat them in a friendly game in 2019. So Shaman Nicholson have scored some very important goal for us. And I think as much as his performances have dropped, I don't know what to say, man, but Shaman Nicholson have dropped off way off. The Shaman Nicholson that we got, in his first 2 years of the REGGAEBOYZ, since he made his debut, was immaculate. It was superb. It was sharp. He was fit. I don't know what is going on with Shaman Nicholson. I must say, it seems like the closer he's getting to 30, his performance, his pace is declining. He's getting slower and slower. Steve McLaren, it took him way too long for him to make a substitution. Way too long. If you look at the impact that the players made, the CFAs made, this is how Jamaica should play. Intensity, a lot of energy, they work with, beating the players, getting the ball past the opponent, let the players, who is, coming up against you, get scared. The worst thing a defender can come up against is speed. Not skill, it's speed. You can do all the fandangles over the ball, but you see with speed, a man can kick the ball and just start run left here. That's one of the worst things a defender can face coming up in a game 1v1. So you look at the player, that he brought on, the CFAS impact, the Warner Brown. Warner Brown drop in the box. And the willingness and the effort he put in to get that penalty kick, Shaman Nicholson would have never done that. Shaman Nicholson would have stayed on that pitch, he would have cried on the pitch like a baby and called for a foul. Yeah, he would have put him on right up in the ear and asking for a penalty. But Warner Brown, with the energy, with the effort, the willingness and the hunger to get back up off his horse and get in, you see that he's doing something really well. You could see that the willingness to get up and win that penalty. You have to give him maximum respect for that, and he came on and he gave us a little bit of energy. Dixon get around 6-7 minutes in that after the 90 minutes, and Dixon, look at how Dixon was springing on that pitch like a spring chicken. Yeah, look at how he wanted, look at how he was happy. Look at how, Dixon is calling. Look at how the moment he got on the pitch, he just started to run. That youthful energy. So Steve McLaren have a big decision to make. So a lot of calls. He have to go be ruthless, in certain selection. We need drastic change. There's a lot of stuff missing, and our football is declining. It's sad to say, but we thought Steve McLaren would bring his experience, his three decades of experience in this national team. It seems like it's just a vacation mode he's in at this moment. The team is playing with lack of instruction. The details are not, and you could see that the players are not playing any details because the midfielders are not corresponding with each other. Boyz is not even linking up the play. There's no pattern of play. When the ball goes to Shaman Nicholson, what next? There's none of that. Demarai Gray and Leon Bailey is trying to come inside too much. When Leon Bailey is playing for Aston Villa, is instruction from Unai Emery by looking at the TV and looking at how he's playing. He's the one that needs to keep the width. Yeah, he's the one that needs to keep the width. So I must say, we need instructions from the players. Every player need every details, and you know, this is something that need to be happen, you know, starting with the coach, you know. But I mean, I can go on and on and on and on, but you know, see you guys, you know, tomorrow on the morning side. You know, tomorrow morning, you know, we'll be doing a little bit more of a preview and talking about different other stuff. But you know, this is where I leave it, man. You know, this is where I leave it. But we need to get over the line. You know, we cannot afford what happened in 2013. We missed out on a World Cup because we in a shitty group in the Caribbean Cup where we could not even win a game against other Caribbean rivals. You know, what a day, 2025. Yeah, in the summer of 2025, there's no Gold Cup. A Gold Cup, I must say, without the Reggae Boys. You know, this is something that happened almost a decade and a half ago, so we cannot afford to repeat this. You know, we must do something and get a result in the game against, you know, St. Vincent at the Sabina Park in Kingston. But you know, this is a country that 100,000, you know, it's like that's the population. You know, the biggest city is Kingston, that I think is 142 square miles. You know, it's a small country. It's a small country. You know, this is a country in the world that, you know, look at a Uruguay like a small country that competing and winning World Cup. Yeah, Uruguay is a very small populated country that you would say shouldn't even win the World Cup, but they have talent. But you know, that alone not supposed to write off a country. But you know, I'm just saying, look at the players that are on the pitch for us. Look at the players that are on the pitch for St. Vincent. You know, have to give Vincent people a lot of credit, and I just think that they, you know, they deserve to win. Yeah, they deserve to win. They have done everything. You know, they were so disciplined in their gameplay. They, you know, they were very good in the transition. They were very direct down our right hand side. They know exactly how and where to attack. You know, they have a plan. They have a plan, and they were very disciplined. They were very organized. You know, the center half, they were very organized. Yeah, defensive, their shape was very good. So you know, they could see that a team played with a plan. With the Reggae Boys team was just playing off individual brilliance, and time, reason why a lot of the fans are upset with this team, it's not just the 1-1 result, it's the way how we played in games. You know, the lack of effort, the lack of intensity, you know, no belief. We're not showing the character, we're not showing the personality on the pitch. You know, we're not giving, you know, big time performance as a group of players, as a starting lineup, a starting level in, you know, in that first half to the second half, where the players coming off the bench. So you know, it's something that, you know, is going to need drastic change, you know, in the return leg. But bless upon yourself, people. You know, thanks for watching. You know, this is Nicardo Media House, and I'm just there, just chilling on a Sunday. And yeah, bless upon yourself, man. I'm out. Bless up.